The universe is not a place of lack, nor a battlefield of endless toil. It is a storehouse of riches, infinite and overflowing, waiting for the open heart and receptive mind to claim them. Too long have many believed that prosperity must be wrung from sweat, strain, and restless labor. Yet the truth shines simple and radiant: money is not earned by force, it is magnetized by consciousness. The invisible law works with unfailing certainty, and when you align with it, wealth flows toward you as naturally as rivers find the sea. Every thought is a seed, and every word a decree. The one who declares lack receives lack, and the one who affirms abundance gathers abundance. The universe takes you at your word, for it hears no jest and knows no doubt. Speak riches, see riches, expect riches, and the floodgates of supply swing wide. To strain, to struggle, to grasp is to push away the very thing you seek. For what you clutch in fear slips like sand through grasping fingers, but what you bless with confidence comes swiftly and stays. The gold you desire is not outside you, it is within. You carry the key to the vault in your own mind. Picture yourself surrounded by plenty. Dwell upon the image until it grows so vivid, so alive, that the outer world must mirror it back. Money is but a symbol, a messenger of the greater truth, that you are one with an inexhaustible source. When you know this, when you feel it with unshakable faith, you cannot help but draw wealth from the unseen into the seen, without strain, without effort, without lifting a finger. Release the belief that life is hard, that fortune is rare, that only through endless effort can you taste the sweetness of wealth. Those are chains forged by doubt. Break them by speaking words of power. I live in a world of infinite supply. Money comes to me easily and joyfully. I attract wealth as surely as the sun rises. Say it not with hope, but with certainty, as a sovereign declaring a decree. The law must answer, for the law cannot fail. See money not as a thing to chase, but as a guest to welcome. When you open the doors of your mind with expectation, it enters gladly and in great measure. Wealth does not respond to worry, but to calm assurance. It rushes to the one who knows, not the one who begs. Lift your thoughts, align with the eternal abundance, and riches will come, multiplying beyond measure, for your word has called them forth. You are not here to toil for crumbs. You are here to feast at the banquet of plenty. Infinite supply is your birthright, and the unseen forces of the universe hasten to deliver it when you stand in faith, when you speak with authority, when you rest in the knowledge that you need not lift a finger. Only align your thought, your word, your vision, and all the treasures of heaven and earth are added unto you. Money is magnetized by consciousness, not effort. To many, this truth appears too simple, even impossible, because the mind of the world has been trained to believe that struggle is the only path to gain, that endless hours of labor are the sole doorway to prosperity. Yet the invisible law of life tells another story. Wealth is not created by pushing against circumstances or exhausting the body with relentless work. Wealth is drawn into one's orbit by the quiet, unseen force of thought, by the vibration of belief, by the certainty that what is desired already exists in abundance. The universe is not moved by sweat, it is moved by faith, by alignment, by the consciousness that knows its oneness with infinite supply. When one understands that money is energy, it becomes clear that it answers to the inner climate of the soul. A fearful heart repels prosperity as surely as a locked door keeps out a guest. An expectant spirit, on the other hand, flings the gates open wide, and riches pour in with ease. The one who lives in dread of poverty continually rehearses lack in thought, and the universe obediently reflects it. But the one who cultivates the thought of plenty, who sees and feels abundance even before a coin appears, draws wealth to themselves like a magnet draws iron filings. There is no struggle in this attraction, only the certainty of law responding to consciousness. The common teaching says toil harder, grasp tighter, hustle endlessly, and perhaps fortune will favor you. But this teaching blinds the eyes to the deeper reality, that fortune is not bestowed by chance, nor earned by overwork, it is invoked by consciousness. The man who drags himself through endless days of effort, but entertains thoughts of lack finds little gain. for he fights against the very vibration he radiates. His mind says, I do not have enough, and so his world echoes back, you do not have enough. Yet another, perhaps working little, holds within a steady knowing that riches flow easily, that life is generous, that money is his rightful companion. And the money appears, from channels unseen, from avenues unexpected, as if carried on wings to his doorstep. The difference lies not in the work, but in the consciousness. Consider the magnet. It does not chase iron, it does not sweat or strive. It simply is what it is, and because it is aligned with the nature of iron, the filings leap toward it. So it is with the one who aligns thought with prosperity. Money is not compelled by force, it is compelled by resonance. To declare oneself rich in mind, to see wealth as natural, to expect money as easily as one expects the sun to rise. This is to create a magnetic pull so strong that the outer world must comply. The labor of the hands may be one channel through which supply appears, but the true cause is always consciousness. Many will say, but I work hard and still I lack. Yes, for hard work without right consciousness is like planting seed in barren soil. You may toil, you may water, you may labor day and night, but the soil does not respond because the consciousness is poor. On the other hand, the rich soil of a prosperous mind yields harvests from the smallest seed, harvests so great that the world calls them miracles. Yet they are no miracle. Only law silently obeying the one who understands it. Money flows where it is welcomed. To welcome it is not to cling, nor to beg, but to know without doubt that it belongs with you, that it delights to come, that it arrives in abundance. This welcoming is not born of effort but of inner atmosphere. Just as the fragrant flower draws the bee without pursuit, the mind fragrant with certainty of wealth draws riches without chase. The one who cultivates such consciousness does not waste hours in frantic grasping. They dwell in assurance, and in that assurance, opportunities, ideas, and gifts arrive. Let no one believe that the wealthy are favored by chance. They are favored by their belief, by their expectation, by their willingness to imagine abundance as their reality. Some may inherit. Others may stumble into ventures, but behind every lasting fortune is a consciousness aligned with increase. And behind every fleeting gain is a mind still bound by fear of loss. For even when money is grasped by effort, if the consciousness remains poor, the money slips away. True riches are secured not by outer force, but by inner knowing. Look within and ask, what do I believe about money? For the belief is the mold into which substance flows. If you believe money is scarce, then scarce it will be. If you believe money is difficult, then difficult it will seem. If you believe it comes only by toil, then toil will be your master. But if you believe money is natural, abundant, joyous, and eager to come to you, then such will be your daily experience. This shift of belief is the only true labor required, and once made, the results unfold as if by magic, though it is only law. The great mistake is to suppose that the outer creates the inner. People imagine that once money is in hand, then they can feel prosperous. But the law works in reverse. You feel prosperous first, and the money must appear. To wait for the outer sign is to wait in vain. To live now in the inner state of wealth is to summon the outer sign with certainty. Consciousness is the cause, money the effect. No amount of outward pushing can alter this truth. The one who grasps this secret steps into freedom. No longer chained to the belief that more hours, more sweat, more struggle are the only keys. They rest in the quiet knowing that thought rules substance. They cease to chase and begin to attract. They stop demanding and start declaring. They abandon worry and adopt expectancy. And as surely as the seed becomes the flower, as surely as the dawn follows the night, the wealth appears, faithful to the consciousness that called it forth. Every thought and word is a decree shaping abundance or lack. The mind is not a passive stream of drifting ideas, it is a throne of command. Each thought is a seed sown in the fertile field of the unseen, and each word is the water that nourishes it into form. The world you see, the circumstances that surround you, the money in your pocket, or the debts you carry, are all the faithful reflection of the decrees you have spoken and the thoughts you have allowed to take root. Nothing arrives by accident. Nothing clings without reason. Consciousness precedes everything, and speech clothes consciousness in vibration that the universe cannot resist but to obey. When you think thoughts of lack, even in passing, you are issuing commands to the unseen to withhold. You may say, "I never have enough. Money slips away from me. It is hard to prosper." And in saying so, you build the very wall that keeps abundance from entering. The law does not discriminate, it simply echoes back the decree. When you declare limitation, you sculpt it. When you declare poverty, you invite it. When you declare struggle, you bind yourself to its endless wheel. But when you dare to declare plenty, when you dare to affirm wealth, when you dare to speak words of prosperity with confidence, the same law that once served your fears turns and serves your faith. Thoughts are invisible architects. They draw the lines of your experience. They mark out the blueprint of your days. A person who constantly entertains worry over bills is drafting a design for more bills, more pressure, more scarcity. They live in a mental picture of insufficiency, and the outer world must conform to that picture. Another, who chooses to dwell on images of abundance, who pictures wealth surrounding them, who speaks of opportunities flowing their way, is drafting a design for riches. Their speech becomes prophecy, their thought becomes magnet, and the world bends to bring them the evidence of what was held within. Words are powerful beyond comprehension. They are not casual sounds cast into the air, they are decrees stamped upon the substance of life. When you speak, you send forth vibrations that gather matter, events, and circumstances to mirror the tone of your declaration. A careless word of lack may seem small, but it sets in motion forces that produce more lack. A single word of wealth, spoken with conviction, begins to call forth supply from hidden channels. Life is ever listening, ever recording, ever shaping itself to the pattern of what you announce. Consider how often people sabotage themselves by idle talk. They say, "I can't afford it. Money doesn't grow on trees. I never get a break. Life is unfair." These phrases may seem harmless, but each one is a decree, a command, a mold into which substance flows. The universe does not ask whether you meant the words or not, it hears them and obeys. In the same way, when you speak words of faith, money comes to me easily. I live in abundance. Every day I grow richer. Those too are decrees. They summon conditions to prove themselves true. The difference between the rich and the poor is not simply what they hold in their hands, but what they hold in their tongues. It is not enough to think prosperity once in a while and then undo it with hours of worry. The mind must be trained to dwell upon abundance until it becomes natural. The lips must be trained to speak prosperity until no word of lack escapes. Just as a gardener removes weeds that threaten the harvest, so must you uproot thoughts of scarcity and replace them with affirmations of plenty. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I can't," shift to, "I can." Every time you are tempted to say, "I don't have," speak instead, "I have that I need and more." This discipline of thought and word reshapes the invisible and draws into your orbit the wealth that already waits in the unseen. The world itself is a grand echo chamber, returning to each what they have spoken into it. If you fill your days with complaints of shortage, the echo comes back as more shortage. If you fill your speech with thanksgiving for supply, the echo comes back as multiplied supply. Gratitude is itself a decree, for to say, "I am grateful for abundance," is to proclaim abundance as present. The law, never failing, matches that decree with outward evidence. To live in gratitude is to constantly affirm richness, and richness cannot resist the pull of such words. Even silent thoughts carry the same creative power. The universe hears the whispers of the heart as clearly as the shouts of the tongue. Secret resentment of money, envy of the rich, fear of debt. All these unspoken decrees shape outer life. But silent blessings, silent affirmations, silent visions of wealth and joy, these too call forth their evidence. The inner monologue is as potent as the outer conversation, and together they weave the pattern of destiny. Imagine two people standing side by side. One says, "Life is hard, money is scarce, opportunities pass me by." The other says, "Life is generous, money flows freely, opportunities chase after me." Both stand in the same world, yet they inhabit different realities, because each has issued a decree that shapes the unseen into form. Soon their lives diverge. The first grows weary under burdens, the second walks in ease. Outsiders call it luck or chance, but it is neither. It is simply the law answering their respective decrees. To master life, one must master thought and word. This is the true labor, greater than any physical struggle. To hold steady the thought of wealth when appearances suggest otherwise, to speak words of abundance when the purse seems empty, this is the work of faith. And faith, held firmly, bends reality to itself. The outer world is clay, the inner decree the hand that molds it. Speak with authority, think with certainty, and abundance is compelled to take shape. Wealth flows naturally when aligned with faith and expectation. The flow of prosperity is not forced, nor is it wrestled into being by desperate action. It is a current, steady and sure, like a river that never ceases. To step into that current requires no strain, no frantic effort, but only the alignment of the inner life with trust and expectancy. Faith is the invisible bridge that carries the unseen into the seen, and expectation is the open vessel waiting to be filled. When these two are united, abundance flows as surely as rain falls upon the earth. The one who holds faith in poverty reaps poverty, for faith is not merely positive, it is belief made vivid, whether for good or for ill. If you believe with intensity that life is hard, and that wealth is beyond your reach, you will surely experience what you believe. But if you choose to believe with equal intensity that money comes easily, that riches are your rightful portion, that opportunities pursue you with eagerness, then these two will find their way into your experience. Faith directs the flow, expectation opens the gate. When the two are harmonized, prosperity has no choice but to arrive. Expectation is the atmosphere of abundance. The one who expects nothing receives nothing. The one who expects little receives little. But the one who expects much draws much. For life bends itself to meet the measure of expectation. Imagine a guest preparing to visit. If you expect their arrival, you make the house ready. You set a place at the table, you watch for their coming. The expectation itself becomes a silent summons, and the guest appears. Wealth responds in the same manner. If you expect it, you prepare for it, you look for it, and in so doing, you call it forth. If you expect lack, you unconsciously prepare for lack, and lack responds. Faith is the deep knowing that the unseen supply is already yours. It is not hope, for hope still waits with uncertainty. Faith declares, "It is so," even before evidence appears. To align with faith is to walk as though the abundance you desire is already at hand, to speak as though the treasures of heaven and earth have already been delivered. This inner certainty creates a magnetic field that draws outer evidence. The world must conform to the conviction of faith, just as a shadow must conform to the shape of the object that casts it. The current of wealth is ever flowing. Many stand on its banks lamenting that they are dry, not realizing that their doubts and fears keep them from stepping in. To enter requires only trust, the willingness to release the belief that life is against you, and to accept that the universe is for you. Faith is the step into the river. Expectation is the cup you carry, and abundance is the water that rushes to fill it. If your cup is small, your portion is small. If your cup is large, your portion is large. The flow does not change, only the measure of your expectancy does. It is not uncommon to see one person who struggles endlessly, working harder and harder, yet remains bound in scarcity, while another seems to prosper with little visible effort. The difference lies not in merit or luck, but in alignment. The struggler works from fear, from doubt, from the belief that supply is scarce and must be grasped tightly. The prosperous one works, if at all, from faith, from calm assurance, from the knowing that supply is infinite and arrives in perfect time. To the world, it appears as luck or privilege, but beneath the surface it is the difference between misalignment and alignment. Wealth flows naturally to the one whose inner state is tuned to receive. Expectation is not idle wishing. It is the steady posture of the soul that knows abundance is on its way. The one who expects riches begins to live as though they are already present. They speak with confidence, they act with generosity. They carry themselves with assurance. They do not postpone joy until the money arrives, they walk in joy now, and the money rushes to match their state. This is the secret: the outer world mirrors the inner. By expecting abundance, you live in abundance inwardly, and the law must reproduce it outwardly. Faith must be unshakable. To believe in prosperity one day and doubt it the next is to open and close the door, keeping the supply from entering. The law responds to consistency, to unwavering trust. Just as the farmer does not dig up the seed each day to check whether it grows, but trusts the unseen process, so must you hold faith in the unseen supply. The roots of abundance spread in silence before the harvest shows itself. To abandon faith midway is to interrupt the process. To hold faith steadily is to guarantee the harvest. Wealth flows not by force but by surrender. Not surrender to lack but surrender to the law of abundance. To cease striving, to release worry, to let go of resistance, is to allow the natural current to carry you. Worry is a dam that blocks the river. Expectation is the opening that releases it. Fear is the anchor that holds you to the shore. Faith is the sail that carries you into the flow. Align with faith, align with expectation, and you find yourself lifted and carried without strain, borne effortlessly into prosperity. This alignment is not mystical in the sense of being unreachable, it is practical and immediate. It is as simple as choosing what thoughts you dwell upon and what words you speak. When you wake in the morning and say, "This is a day of increase. This is a day of prosperity. This is a day when money flows easily to me," you set the tone of faith and expectation. When you go about your affairs with an inner calm that knows abundance is inevitable, you walk in alignment. When challenges arise but you affirm, "Even now, wealth flows to me. Even now, supply is certain," you remain in the current. This steady practice strengthens your faith and enlarges your expectation until the flow becomes visible in all you touch. Prosperity is an inner reality before it becomes outer form. What appears in the visible world is but a reflection of what has already been established in the invisible realm of thought and belief. Nothing manifests outwardly that has not first existed inwardly. The riches you long for are not waiting somewhere outside of you to be found or chased. They already exist as a possibility, a pattern, a living seed in consciousness. To see prosperity in your life, you must first see it within. To hold lack within is to bind yourself to lack without. To hold abundance within is to invite its inevitable appearance in the outer world. The world of appearances often deceives those who do not understand this truth. They look at an empty purse and declare themselves poor. And by declaring it, they make it so. They see bills mounting and believe in lack, and that belief carves deeper channels for more lack to arrive. Yet another, who looks at the same conditions, but chooses instead to affirm inward abundance, to feel inward wealth, to know inward prosperity, begins to shift the unseen currents. In time, those currents reshape the visible, and supply appears as though from nowhere. The difference is not in circumstance but in consciousness. Prosperity begins as a state of mind, a settled conviction that you are one with infinite supply. This conviction does not waver when the outer world seems to contradict it, for it is anchored in truth, not appearances. The unseen is always greater than the seen. When you carry prosperity within, you hold the blueprint of your outer world. The unseen mind is the architect, and the visible experience is the building. If the blueprint is designed with scarcity, the building will display scarcity. If the blueprint is drawn with abundance, the building will radiate abundance. All outer form is but stone and wood shaped to fit the invisible design. Those who struggle against conditions, without first changing their inner state, are like painters who try to alter their canvas without touching the brush. They wipe and scrape and demand a new picture, yet the brush continues to apply the same strokes, the same colors. because their thoughts remain unchanged. The wise know that to alter the painting, they must change the brush. To alter life, they must change thought. The picture of prosperity must be drawn within before it can appear without. Prosperity is not measured by the coins in your hand, but by the certainty of abundance in your heart. Two people may hold the same sum of money. One trembles in fear of losing it, another rests in assurance of endless supply. To the fearful one, the money dwindles and vanishes, for their inner reality is lack. To the assured one, the money multiplies, opportunities expand, doors open, for their inner reality is abundance. The outer form follows the inner conviction. To cultivate the inner reality of prosperity, you must live as though wealth is already present, even before the outer signs appear. Feel rich in thought. Speak as though you are surrounded by plenty. Act with the calm confidence of one who knows their supply is sure. This is not pretense, it is alignment with truth. The outer world may not yet display your abundance, but the inner world declares it with certainty, and the law of life cannot fail to reproduce it. Consider the seed hidden in the soil. To the eye, there is nothing there, only darkness and emptiness. But within, the seed carries the reality of the plant. The gardener trusts this unseen reality, watering and tending though no growth is visible. In time, the invisible becomes visible, the inner pattern becomes outer form. Prosperity works the same way. When you plant thoughts of abundance, even if the soil of life looks barren, the inner seed is alive. In faith, you water it with affirmations, you tend it with expectation, you protect it from the weeds of doubt. Soon, the sprout breaks through, and prosperity appears in outer form. Doubt is the thief that uproots the seed before it grows. Those who say, "I will believe in my wealth when I see it," deny themselves the harvest, for they dig up the seed each day to check whether it has sprouted, and by doing so, they kill its growth. The true cultivator of prosperity believes first, feels first, affirms first, and waits in calm assurance for the outer form to appear. They know that the invisible law is at work, that supply is already on its way, that abundance is already secured within. The inner reality of prosperity must be vivid. It is not enough to merely wish or hope. You must see yourself surrounded by wealth. Imagine the life you desire, feel the joy of already possessing it. The subconscious mind, the builder of outer form, responds to images, feelings, and words repeated with faith. When you dwell on lack, the subconscious reproduces lack. When you dwell on prosperity, the subconscious reproduces prosperity. The images you hold are not idle daydreams, they are instructions, commands, blueprints for life to follow. Gratitude is one of the strongest ways to affirm the inner reality of abundance. When you give thanks for supply, even before it appears, you declare that it already exists in truth. Gratitude transforms the mind from lack to plenty, from complaint to expectation. Each word of thanks is a seed of wealth planted in the soil of consciousness. To live in gratitude is to constantly water the seed of prosperity, to constantly affirm that abundance is the inner reality, regardless of outer appearances. Outer form may shift and change, but inner reality, once established, creates continuity. The wealth you carry within cannot be stolen, cannot be lost, cannot be diminished, for it is rooted in the infinite. Even if outer money departs for a season, the inner prosperity calls it back again, often in greater measure. Those who cling only to the outer form live in fear, for outer things can change. Those who build the inner reality live in peace, for they know the source is unending, and outer forms are but shadows of the substance they already hold within. To walk in prosperity is to walk first in imagination, in feeling, in conviction. It is to picture riches where others see emptiness, to speak wealth where others speak lack, to expect supply where others expect shortage. The inner state is the cause, the outer state is the effect. When the inner is aligned with abundance, the outer must follow in its time. This is the unbreakable law as within, so without. Infinite supply is your birthright, claimed without struggle. From the moment you drew your first breath, the universe surrounded you with provision, with sunlight and air, with soil and seed, with endless rivers of energy waiting to be shaped by your consciousness. Scarcity is not the natural order, abundance is. Yet many live as though life were a measure, as though every coin must be begged for, every opportunity fought over, every blessing earned through strain. They forget that the source of all supply is infinite, unfailing, inexhaustible, and that this source belongs to them by right of existence. The birds do not toil, yet they are fed. The lilies do not labor, yet they are clothed in beauty greater than kings. Nature itself demonstrates the principle: life gives freely, life multiplies, life overflows. The orchard is not stingy with fruit, nor the ocean with waves, nor the stars with light. Why then should money, wealth, and opportunity be seen as rare, difficult, or out of reach? They are but another expression of the same infinite supply, awaiting the one who dares to claim them without doubt, without guilt, without struggle. Your birthright is not earned, it is inherited. Just as a child does not labor to be loved by its parents, but is loved by virtue of being, so are you supplied by virtue of existence. The law of life decrees it so. You are one with the source, and the source is never lacking. When you forget this, you fall into the illusion of poverty. When you remember this, you rise into the truth of plenty. The treasure house of the universe is not locked against you, it swings wide when you approach with faith and expectancy. Struggle is the great illusion. Men and women toil endlessly, believing that sweat alone brings supply, yet they see others prosper with ease and call it unfair. It is not unfair. It is law. Those who prosper easily have aligned themselves with the truth of infinite supply. They have claimed their birthright without apology, without hesitation, without chains of guilt. Those who labor in fear, believing life to be stingy, cut themselves off from the very current of supply that is trying to reach them. Struggle closes the hand, faith opens it. Fear builds walls, expectancy tears them down. To claim your birthright is to stand in authority, to say with certainty, I am supplied, I am prosperous, I am heir to infinite abundance. These are not empty words but declarations of truth. The law does not ask whether you deserve them. It responds to whether you believe them. The child of a wealthy parent does not beg for bread, does not fear whether food will be given. They know their portion is secure. In the same way, you must know your portion is secure in the universe, and this knowing calls forth supply without struggle. Supply is infinite because the source is spirit, and spirit has no limits. Money may appear in forms that seem finite, but behind the money is substance, and behind substance is spirit. Spirit is boundless. To believe in limitation is to mistake the shadow for the source. The shadow changes, but the source remains. When you align yourself with the infinite, outer forms of money, opportunities, and blessings multiply, for they are but channels of the one source. When one channel closes, another opens. The flow cannot be stopped, for infinity has no end. To live in the consciousness of infinite supply is to walk in peace. The fear of loss vanishes, for you know that what departs returns multiplied. The anxiety of competition disappears, for you know that no one can take what is yours by divine right. The strain of constant effort fades, for you know that supply comes not by force but by alignment. You become like a magnet, drawing wealth naturally, joyfully, without resistance, because you live in the truth of your birthright. Guilt is another thief that blinds many to their inheritance. They whisper to themselves that it is selfish to desire wealth, that riches belong only to a chosen few, that they must apologize for wanting more. Yet the orchard does not apologize for bearing fruit, the river does not apologize for overflowing its banks, the sun does not apologize for shining. Why then should you apologize for claiming abundance? You are not taking from another, you are drawing from the infinite, which can never be diminished. To claim your birthright is to honor the source, to express its fullness, to reveal its generosity through your life. Expectation is the key that unlocks the treasure house. The one who expects little receives little, for their hands are small. The one who expects much receives much, for their hands are wide. The measure is not set by the source but by you. Infinite supply is ever present, yet it will only flow into the vessel you provide. If your mind is narrow, If your heart is filled with fear, the vessel is small, and the flow is restricted. If your mind is expansive, if your heart is filled with faith, the vessel is vast, and the flow rushes in to fill it. The source never withholds, it only waits for you to open. To live in infinite supply is to see wealth in every direction. Even before the outer signs appear, you declare, I live in a world of plenty. Money flows to me freely. Every need is met in perfect time and perfect way. These declarations are not hopes but acknowledgments of truth. Each word is a claim upon your inheritance, and the law responds by shaping outer circumstances to match the inner decree. The supply comes from expected and unexpected channels, from doors you knew and doors you never imagined, for infinity cannot be confined to one path. Your birthright is secure, but it must be claimed. No one else can claim it for you. The universe will not force prosperity upon you. It waits for your recognition, your acceptance, your alignment. The moment you accept, the flow begins. The moment you doubt, the flow hesitates. Life mirrors your inner stance unfailingly. To say, I am poor, is to reject your inheritance. To say, I am rich in spirit, rich in supply, rich in life, is to receive it. The choice is always yours and the law always obeys. The abundance you claim is not for hoarding but for expression. Infinite supply flows to you so that it may also flow through you. The ocean does not fill one vessel and stop, it keeps pouring, wave upon wave. In the same way, when you recognize your birthright, you give freely, knowing that the flow replenishes itself endlessly. Giving becomes joyous, not fearful, for you know that the more you release, the more the infinite rushes to replace it. This circulation is the rhythm of life, the heartbeat of abundance, and the law that proves itself again and again.